Oh, here we go. And we're live. Welcome to, what have I got to call Talking Music, episode 1. If you're familiar with Pop Rock Radio, you know who I am. I'm Paul, and we've got Tom up the right. And down below, we've got Andrea. Is it Andrea or Andrea? Do you prefer Andrea or Andrea? Andrea.
Andrea's
Andrea.
way too me. Just Andrea is plenty. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we've got to get it right because there's nothing worse than being called the wrong name. So
Well, it happens, and I still get people call me Andrea. I've got one friend, a muso, who's like, "No, I'm just going to keep calling you Andrea, so you
yeah,
can just suck it up." I'm like, "Okay, you're beautiful. I love you very much."
yeah.
That's me.
You,
But
you are.
I just Andrea's a bit weird and posh, and just not me. So
Yeah. Well, you asked Tom. I call him about 100 different names throughout the day.
Yeah,
Some of them
Tommy,
are
Thomas,
Thomas.
but
Tommy.
that's only if he's angry at me.
No,
Oh,
I don't think I've called you Tom. I haven't called you that. It's Tom or Tomedy or something like that. But
You've got a dog going off in the background. That may happen once or twice. But,
that's all right. My boys the studio dogs are snoring away for once. Normally they know as soon as I hit the microphone they'll come and they'll start talking and things. But
yeah, well, we're snoring away, but
yeah.
hold on.
Ooh.
Hang on a second. So it's just
He's gone all different colours.
Lights
My
going on.
in. Let me put a stop to that. Okay, let's keep talking while I put a stop to that.
Yeah. No.
Oh my God.
So Tom, you've been working on the gig guide. Hey, how's that going? How many gigs? You'd have a heap of gigs up there now, wouldn't you? There'd be
Yeah,
you're going really well.
For about over 500 gigs.
That's all right.
A fair few amount of locals, and some bigger gigs like Pete Murray and Rob Thomas, for example.
Yeah.
Got some interesting ones coming up, like the Hidden Treasures Festival in the Frio Nook.
Yep.
And have a death metal concert happening in Melbourne, Nefarious.
Yep. Have it. Hey, Cameron Hilston. Sorry to interrupt, Tom. Cam is this. You remember Cam Hilston from when we used to do the weekly wrap? He's just popped up in the chat saying, "Will there be a quiz show again of the music?" I'm just going to respond and let him know. Yeah, there will be. But but we just
brush up on my research.
Yeah, but we just need to plan it out. There you go. So yeah, Cam goes way back. We used to do the weekly wrap on a Sunday night, and I'm surprised that he got the message and he's come on and he's tuned in now to talking music about the WA music scene and bits and pieces, and yeah, he's just popped in a message there. So we did get a chat. Look at that, first night on, and we got Cam popped in, and yeah, there you go. So I hope you're going well there, Cam. You're doing it really well. But yeah, we're definitely going to be getting something back happening pretty soon.
Mm-hmm.
But we know right now we've got the gig guide up and running, so which is good. And I believe the Bird have got a big event, well, not a big event, but a event happening next Friday. Not the Bird.
Yes.
Amplify. They've got a heavy metal night or something happening next Friday, I think.
Music on Murray? No, that was last month.
Yeah, it's on Friday night. So anyway, so Andre, what's been happening around the sound?
I've got a couple of reviews coming up, a couple of interesting ones. I also had a chat with a really interesting guy called Todd Bartholomew who popped up. I'd never heard of him before, right?
Yep.
And he asked me if I would do some work with him on writing his bio, and I'm like, sure, why not, And anyway, so I contacted him. We had a chat on the phone. And he's a lovely guy, typical artist, so, very artistic, let's say. But if even 1/4 of what he told me has any basis in actual reality, which I'm sure it does, and in fact I know it does. I'm just kidding because he showed me all of the collateral.
Yep.
He is one of the most interesting unknown known artists I've ever come across. So he cut his teeth in the music scene in the early 90s in Melbourne.
Yep.
And he used to play in metal bands there. He used to hang out with the likes of Mick Barker and the Reptiles. And he also, this is hilarious, I love these near misses that some artists have.
Yeah.
He also rehearsed for 3 weeks with a band that became Something for Kate before Paul Dempsey joined and said, no, this isn't for me. I'm a goth, so I'm out of here. But wait, there's more. He traveled to Europe in the 2000s and hung out there for a while. And, you know, he's a really dedicated artist. So he was taking demos to record labels all over the place and getting nothing back. And then after a good while, an agent contacted him and said, can you give us some vision of you playing guitar? And he's like, sure, no worries. A few weeks later, he got an offer to join Joe Cocker's band. And he spent 4 years playing guitar with Joe Cocker but wait, there's more. Also played some gigs with Rod Stewart and Celine Dion, for goodness sake. And yeah, I know. But, like, what a cool sort of career that he's had. Now he's back in Melbourne. He's living in Perth now. He learned a trade after his time in Europe, so he works in the metal trade and he does fly-in, fly-out work. But he's looking to put together a band. He wants to have another go. And I'm like, sure, I'd love to, you know, see what I can do to help you out, because this guy is an absolute artist and he wants to have another go. He's dead set keen on having another go, cracking the big time. And I just love it. Yeah, here we go, Paul.
I play the egg. If he needs an egg player.
But what an amazing character just to pop out of the woodwork like that, you know?
Yeah,
and like, I was fascinated talking to him. So his story's up on Around the Sound now.
Yeah.
And I always say to people, just kind of jokingly, I don't know why, but, you know, if even a quarter of what he said is true, what an amazing career he's had.
Yeah.
But he's showing me the contracts and the videos and, you know, it's almost like he felt like he had to prove himself.
Yeah.
But, yeah, what a cool character. And he's living right here in Perth and he's looking for a band right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if anyone's out there, I mean, I think I've got an initial lineup ready for him to do some jamming with and see how it feels. But I'd love to see some really experienced musicians come out of the woodwork and say, yeah, let's have one more go round at being fucking famous.
Yeah.
So what an amazing story. I just loved engaging with him, and he's this beautiful artistic musician type. When we met in person for the first time, he was dressed from head to toe like a rock star.
Yeah.
And I sat in my seat at the cafe thinking, I'm seriously underdressed for this meeting, but it was okay. But yeah, the man is, he's just a cool character. And I hope he gets his way, and I hope I can help nudge him back into the fame and fortune as a muso, because he's still got that hunger in him. And unlike a lot of musos, he really knows, you know, that he can make it, you know, that his hard work could pay off, and he's ambitious. I find a lot of musos, they are ambitious, but they're afraid to express it externally because they're afraid that if they say, I'm ambitious, something bad will happen to them. But this guy is like, come on, bring it on, let's do it. So, that's what I've been up to.
Tom and I were talking just before we come on, and I'm just talking about interviews that I've done in the past with a couple of different artists and things. I'm not going to say any names or whatever, because it's not don't want to talk bad about anyone, but with the artist, you know, when, like you said, this guy, he knows what he's got and he's out there pushing it. And then there's other people that, like, I bet you if I got him on in an interview and we were talking, he'd be able to tell me all bits of how, you know, how he plays the guitar, you know, different styles he uses, and, you know, get right into the nitty gritty of it and get a lot of information out. Yeah.
Yep.
And then you talk to other people who have just released a song or released an album or an EP, and you go, well, tell us about it. And they're going, yeah, well, I've just released this song and it's now out on all streaming platforms. And I'm like,
I know they need and I find that with a lot of artists I've spoken to over the years, local artists, ones who are starting out, even ones who are quite advanced in their careers, and they don't have a story to tell, and they're not. No one's telling them that it's important to have a story.
Yeah.
And if you haven't had that experience like Todd, then embellish.
Yeah.
Draw from an aspect of your life. Make it grander. It doesn't matter. It's rock and roll. You're allowed to make things up. I've been working with a local artist as well. I can't name him because we're not ready to talk about this in public yet. But when we are, I'll talk about it on this podcast first, right? But he is last show. And
You just glitched a bit there.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Am I back?
Yeah, you're back. But everything you said after, you won't say who it is. Everything after that glitched out.
Well, no. Well, okay. What I said was he's coming back to do a last ever show.
Oh, it's John Farnham.
Yeah, it is actually.
Oh,
well, maybe.
It could be Russell Morris.
Let's work on your bio and that. And I did the numbers, right? And I said, oh, hey, you're close to 50 years in the game. Let's stretch things a little bit. Can we say you started rehearsing then instead of then?
Yeah.
And he's like, sure, it's rock and roll. Let's make up a story. So this is going to be a 50th anniversary show, missing by about 2 or 3 years, but close enough, hey?
Oh, okay. So
go on, have a guess.
No, I'm not going to have a guess, but I was just scrolling through Facebook earlier on today, and there's a Facebook page come up, and it had the top 40. I don't know which chart it was, but it was a top 40 from 52 years ago.
No way.
Yeah, and I was looking at some of the songs going, no way.
So what was on the list?
Oh, there's Elton John was on there, Roberta Flack, just trying to think. John Farnham was on the list.
No way.
Yeah.
50 years ago. Wow.
52 years ago.
Oh, okay. I'm going down because I'm far too old to rock up game. Yeah.
And
so doing that, that's really exciting. And I can't wait to talk about it. I'm so pumped for this. And it was a beautiful thing that sort of fell my way when I did Fringe earlier this year. And he came up to one of the shows. And partway through the show, this is who he is, right? Partway through the show, he grabbed hold of me, gave me a big cuddle and said, oh, I love you. And then we talked. And he said, oh, look, I've been listening to you. And I think, would you like to help me do some stuff? I want to do some stuff. And I'm like, yeah, why not? Sure.
Yeah.
So, and we've become good friends since then. It's been so
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
What I'm going to do, because obviously this is episode 1 of Talking Music, that what I have to do is I've got a few messages from Cameron popping up on the screen and I can't really type them back. I should get them so that they come up on the screen. So next week when people come in and if there's any questions or anything that come up on the screen, we can just bring them straight up and just have them tick through on the screen so I don't have to keep reading them out. But yeah, Cam sent through a few messages. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, Tom and I were talking as well before. Tom he's not doing much talking tonight. He's just sitting there nodding his head.
Well, I'm interested in the stories.
Yeah, we'll get him chatting in a sec. Yeah, what do you with reviews, right?
Mm-hmm.
We do a fair few reviews, and we've applied for a few reviews, and a lot of the big, there's a lot of. I've got to be careful what I say because if anyone ever watches it or listens in and I say something bad about them, but there doesn't seem to be a lot of love in the review process. There's a lot of I'm just wondering, is it really are doing reviews really worth the effort?
Tom, over to you.
Well, I'm still a review rookie, but I love doing the reviews and getting out there and interacting with people and seeing how they engage with music and getting to know some of the local bands. Like, for example, I'm not sure if you would know her, Andrea, but Dallas Fresca, that was one gig that I really enjoyed. She's had quite the lengthy career. She's collaborated with like Guns N' Roses and all that sort of thing. She recently supported ZZ Top, and knowing about her history and getting to know her discography really made me a fan. And I love that sort of passion behind their music. So yeah, I do love reviews, but getting knocked back for some can be a bit what's the word?
Disheartening.
Upsetting.
Yeah, but what
Disheartening.
would it be better to do something instead of doing a review, which is after the fact?
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't it be better to do something before the fact? Before you can be easier to pull them in for an interview rather than go do a review.
Right. Yeah.
Because like with a review, you've got to send a photographer, you've got to send a writer, and then you can't just turn up for the first act. Sometimes you've got to sit through 3 or 4 acts before you get to the main review. Then you've got to get home and then get the photos together, write the review, edit it to get it up on the website. You've got all these time constraints. I'm just wondering if it's really worth doing reviews, and do people actually read reviews, or they prefer to read other things?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question, Paul. And I love writing about music, but I got really jaded with being at the bottom end of the PR mill.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I stopped engaging with that. And
Yep.
I only write reviews or talk to artists that I want to write about.
Yeah.
And I still get I don't apply for shows and whatnot anymore. So,
Yep.
we used to do all of the things, and I had this great time, getting free tickets to this and free tickets to that. But like you both said, you don't get nothing for free, right? It's actually, when you add up the time it takes and then put a dollar value on that, you're paying them to go and review them.
Yeah.
So I only review people that I want to review. I only write about music I want to write about, which has made me totally irrelevant as a music journalist. But I do everything I do with love.
Yeah.
And I know the artists appreciate it. And I know that when they share it on their pages, they get engagement. So that works for me. That's a solution that keeps me in the business, because I got really jaded with being at the bottom end of the PR mill. And I still get the media releases now, and occasionally I read them. And I read one the other day because it was promoting a local artist, and I thought about doing something with it, but then a number of things stopped me. One was I would have had to have rewritten the piece quite significantly.
Yep.
But the other one was it was sent to me in a format that would have made it really hard to extract the text and then reformat it and then do this and then do that. Why can't they just send you a Word document, for goodness sake? They know you're going to copy and paste the text anyway, or do something with it.
Yeah.
So, so I looked at that and I thought, no, there's hours of my time in this. I'm not doing it.
Well, one of the worst things with the press releases, right? You have to get them and you have to change them. You can't, because if you copy and paste straight in what they've given you, and I'm pretty sure there'll be a lot of people who just do that, just copy and paste straight in, and that's okay for you. But what happens is the Google will, because you obviously everyone's trying to compete for Google space, and right. If everyone puts the same media release out, Google doesn't see you as being any different to the guy next or the company beside you doing the same thing. And so you don't get seen as an authority. So if anyone ever searches for you and your content, it's going to be at the bottom of the list because you're just copy and pasting everyone else. You're not any copyright infringement because you're just putting out what they want you to say, but it's no different to anyone else. So your authority level just goes straight down. And I think a lot of these PR companies know that there's people going to, there's always going to be someone to do the job at the bottom of it. Always will be someone there to do it. And I'm just, like I said, saying to Tom, is it really worth us doing it? I'd much prefer to do interviews before and talk to someone who's really excited about getting their music out.
Yep. So I do think it's worth it, but I think we have to, as people who are at the bottom of the food chain, let's be real about it. That's where we sit. I think it's worth finding your own way of doing that and doing that in a way that speaks to your love and your passion. And that's why I still do what I do after, golly, more than 10 years now of doing Around the Sound off and on.
Yeah.
But I only do local because I love local.
Yep.
I only do artists that I want to talk about and I want to write about. So, even with local artists, there are some that I will pass over. My experience has been that you need to try and write positive stuff. Because I've had some people who've, will you please review this? And it'd be great if you did. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And then I've written a review and they've been like, oh, but you didn't like it. I'm like, well, no, because,
one of my honest feedback
isn't any good. And they don't like you for that. And so I don't want to deal with stress anymore either. So, if I get stinkers, I'm like, oh, I got one earlier this year. Could you, and I had a listen and I said, oh, yeah, no, thank you. And because I just didn't want to go through the stress of saying, yeah, this is objectively not that great.
Yeah.
So I don't, I don't just deliberately write positive stuff, but I do write about stuff that I know I like.
Yeah.
That I have some liking for.
Okay, now I'm going to ask both of you this question because Tom, you're doing the gig guide, so you'd be getting the music coming into you and getting info from bands. Andrea, you do the same, talking to the bands and things. Who is in band around WA at the moment? Who do you rate? Who do you rate? Which bands around WA do you rate at the moment?
Would you like to go first, Andrea?
Tom's got to have a think.
I
got my answer. I just wanted to be gentlemanly.
Oh, you're very kind. Thank you. So I'm going to start with the obvious, right? Because they deserve to be talked about, and that's Southern River Band.
Yep.
Who are now back in Europe playing a whole new set of dates and festivals. And that's a band I have been talking to and, sort of watching and sort of seeing for a long time now. And I remember the first time I spoke to Callum, and with some people you just know, and you don't, and you can't deny that he's a rock star. And I'm just so pleased to see them now beginning to get to that next level and having the whole world open up for them. So for me, that's a really cool thing. I love that.
Yeah.
I'll go to, and I don't know whether hottest around, they should be, but there's an artist called Stella Kane.
Yeah.
Who plays under her own name, but of course plays with a band and plays solo, who recently released an EP called Roddy, which is a set of songs that are a homage to her grandmother who taught her to play piano and sing. And my God, they're the most beautiful songs. And she is the most beautiful artist, and she's got the most beguiling voice. And
how do you spell her name?
Stella, Stella, Kane, Cain.
Yep.
And interestingly enough, the EP was produced by St. Vincent, which I think is just a cool production credit to have. If you look it up, it is the most beautiful pop music, and it is heartfelt because these are songs of love to her grandmother. And if you ever get a chance to see her live, if that's your thing, and for some people pop music is their thing, for others not necessarily, but if you ever get a chance to see her live, she's the most attractive artist. She knows how to perform. So I would strongly rate what she's done. And the other beautiful thing is that she's produced this EP after many years as an artist. And when I interviewed her, I said, so, hey, how come now? Why not before? And she's like, yeah, I've recorded a lot of songs, but I've never released them. And she said, as a female artist, I just had to get out of my own way and stop listening to people telling me that I wasn't good enough. And she said, working with St. South.
Yep.
St. Vincent's entirely other person. That would have been a great production credit, almost as St. South. Working with St. South, really allowed her to feel comfortable enough to actually then release these songs.
Yep.
So I'm hoping that she releases the back catalogue at some point, because there'd be some real gems there that she's just not allowed to come through because she hasn't felt good enough to be able to release her music. So that's someone I'd really rate. Those would be, different ends of the scale. Mm-hmm. Each one equally as good, different types of music.
I don't know if I can add information to the stream, links to the stream at the moment. So, I should be able to do this. I'm just going to, because I found Stella Kane's stuff, so I'm just going to whack a shameless plug into the description and things there. Hopefully it'll show up. But
beautiful. Thank you.
It's a real long one. It's a Linktree one, but I'm just going to save that. So hopefully we haven't lost the stream. It's still going. What I wanted to mention, what I need to mention is, okay, so Stella is obviously highly rated by yourself, and she's got on a Linktree, and I'm sorry to be doing this. Just woke up my dog, and he thought I was almost attacked my feet. She's got everything there. She's got Spotify. Let's go through the list. So there's Spotify there.
Yep.
Apple Music, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Substack, SoundCloud, TikTok, email, and Bandcamp. There's nowhere, apart from buying a digital album for $7, there's no link to a website to buy merch or anything.
Yeah, she doesn't have a website.
Huh? She doesn't.
She doesn't have a website.
No.
A lot of artists don't. They're seduced. Seduced? That's not the right word, because that makes it sound like they're being led down the wrong path.
Yeah.
But Linktree, markets really hard to musos. You don't need a website. You just need Linktree. And I think a lot of younger musos feel like the website is not, it's like it's old money. I still think the website.
You got it.
Value, but it's not the flavour of the day amongst younger artists.
I was speaking to Sunny Lou. I can't pronounce her last name. Luwe. Lou. Sunny Lou, and she's got a website, and she does it all herself. And it's bright, it's colourful, and there's links to her merch and everything there. Links to all her shows. And you type in Sunny Lou, it's the first thing that comes up in Google.
Yep.
And it's amazing. It's so I really strongly recommend people getting a website going, because it's not that expensive to get a website. Wix do it for nothing, next to nothing, and things like that. But
WordPress.
Yep. And like even Pop Rock Dizzy is sort of like Linktree, but with we've got a few extra bits for Dizzy. We're slowly getting around to adding new artists all the time, and we'll build that up over time. But there's profiles for your music. We'll do a profile on the song as well, like your whole song and your release gets a page. Then you get a profile for your band and your musician, and there's links to all your social media and different ways that people can play your music and merch stores. But if you haven't got a merch store, it's you need to people need to be able to buy merch. Like I've got my Colour Mine t-shirt on. It's been so long since I've been able to get any merch from any WA bands or music. It's hard to. There's no central place to do.
Yeah, and look, I agree. I think the website's a really important part of your kit bag as a muso, but there are different thoughts about that, and that and you're right. You can get one for nothing.
Yeah.
So it's not like you have to pay for it.
Yeah.
So they'd be my two picks right now.
Yeah. Tom, who do you think?
Who do I think is currently on the rise?
Yeah.
Amify.
Who?
So Amify. They are a Perth cinemetal band, and cinemetal is basically like metal music that tells a story. Like a lot of time and investment is put into their film clips and all that sort of thing, and they tell a story. So I really think they're on the rise, because currently in Perth, the prog metal scene is really starting to take shape and everything.
Yep.
And there's also a band that we interviewed a while back, Paul. You and myself for Pop Rock Radio. We talked to Leon. I can't pronounce his last name, but he's the lead singer of Ragdoll.
Yep.
He's been around on the Perth scene for a few years, and I really enjoy their music. It's a lot of hard rock, not your Imagine Dragons type rock, but yeah, they're kind of what you would call music veterans,
Yep.
and they also have a gig coming up at the Indie Bar in Scarborough.
Yep. That's another thing from me, getting out to do reviews and getting out to see bands. I live so far away. I'm going to have to...
Yeah. You need to attract them more down your end of town.
Oh, there is nothing down here. It's like...
No venues, yeah.
Well, there is. There's venues, but no one willing to put on... we've got 2 venues down here in Rockingham. I'm not sure about the surrounding areas. I think there's a few starting to pop up, but then there's 2 down here in Rockingham. One does only puts on cover acts and tribute bands and comedy nights and things like that.
That's that night.
Yeah, no, I don't need to mention any names because I'm going to say some horrible things about them. But there's not Fat 169 is a bar downstairs, but and then there's the Leisure Inn that only have that all their entertainment comes out from over east, and you never see really much what's going on there. But the guys up at the place I'm talking about, it's the only other place in town apart from Leisure Inn. Mate, they've got a great little venue there. I used to go partying there all the time. But they've got the stage and the sound guy and any DJ they have is in the corner between the bar and the seating. It's not even at the dance, not even near the dance floor. So even if you had a DJ on, how can anyone dance at the dance floor? It's DJing at the bar. Come on.
Yeah.
It's like, the layout, they've got no idea about about laying stuff out. It's crazy. But that's just me.
I think there's an opening for you there, Paul.
Oh, it's too late. They've already built it. But, you know.
I've been into promoting shows in your local area.
Well, there's nowhere for them to go. There's no other places for local bands. Like the guy, if you had a band from Perth come down
and watch Roger Cook sail by on his e-scooter. He reckons he e-scooters up and down there all the time. So,
yeah. Well, that'll be a good conversation for next time. Is that because I have spoken to Wham and got some good feedback from them, and they're actually going to help us plot because Roger Cook said about all this money he was going to give out for a gig guide, and apparently the media got hold of what was actually going to happen and turned it all about. So all that money he did announce wasn't just for a gig guide; it's for lots and lots and lots of things, and the gig guide is a small portion of that.
Yeah.
And Wham are going to help us apply for funding for that to help Tom support building the gig guide up. So we're going to be speaking to Wham. But yeah, there's nowhere in Rockingham where I am for bands to come from north or south or anywhere to come and perform. There's a band we've got some good bands here.
It's June now,
and the team.
Yep.
You should start getting ready for summer and put on some outdoor shows on the Esplanade. I know the deputy mayor in Rockingham. I can introduce you if you like, and you can look at putting on some shows with the city of Rockingham.
Yeah, well,
and then talk to them about putting a venue together that actually, brings some reasonable music down there.
Yeah. It'd be good to speak to someone in Rockingham because it's full of old people. Pardon?
Yeah.
It's even worse my side of the river.
But you're not just on the other side of the river. You're on the other side of the river, and more and more and more and more, and keep on going.
Whereabouts?
Yeah,
South Karatha.
Quinn's Rocks, the closest venue to me is the Indie Bar in Scarborough. So that's about 20 minutes away. 20,
Yeah.
Oh, God, you must drive fast down that freeway if it's only 20 minutes from you in Quinns Rocks.
Yeah. He's on his. He goes past Roger Cook and he's on his little mobility scooter. Move over.
Just to go back to the second note, Tom, you mentioned Amify, and I wanted to second that. They are amazing. That album that they have just put out is just incredible. It's the most amazing storytelling through music, and I love what they're doing. And I haven't seen it live, but I would love to be able to see what they do live. I reckon it would be quite a show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go, Tom.
My first exposure to them was back when I was doing the Rock Tumbler, and the song that I got sent was their shout out to the nice guys. That's not the title of the song, but it's the one where they talk about the disrespect of how some men approach women in bars and all that sort of thing and treat them like pieces of meat. So that was my exposure to them, and the film clip really sold what they were selling.
Well, we went. I think one of the last shows I reviewed was Thelma Plum. I think I did one after that, but we went to Thelma Plum and I did the review for that. But the Thelma Plum, she's pretty good. I totally enjoyed that show. That was at the Retrobite, but she had Allah open for her, and before that she had a young girl called Iliani. Iliani won a chance to open for her from a competition Triple J did with the Unearthed, and so I think she was only 17 or 18 or something. She's very, very young, and she's just released her EP from an EP called My Own. Yep. So there you go. The EP she released an EP earlier. The song was Keep on Waiting from an earlier EP she released, but she's just released another. We're going to be releasing another EP soon, but she did a version of Dancing Queen, an acoustic version of that, which was really good. So if you want to support some really young artists, Iliani, check her out. She's into got some great pop music going.
Oh, that's so good. I'll check her out. I remember the day I bought a 7-inch of Dancing Queen when I was a very, very young human being.
Oh.
And, I love that song still to this day.
I want to show something off. I've got to show off now. It's not very, hopefully you can hear me. It's not very often I get to go on a spending spree, but I haven't even opened this one yet. Another WA band that's doing some really good stuff.
Yeah.
Do you know who it is?
No,
I can't see the title.
The Old Mervs.
Oh, yes.
They're from like the Wheat Belt. They're from the Wheat Belt, and they're doing a tour. They're going to America or something soon, I think. Doing a tour around America. Yep. I think it's America. We've got them on the. Yeah. You can find their gigs on the Gig Guide anyway.
Does America still think it's America?
Oh dear. oh my. That's why all the artists are coming over here to do shows.
Well, yeah, maybe it'd be good for us, but yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. Oh, excuse me. No, I'm not going to be rude. I've got to have a heartburn chew. I had spaghetti last night for dinner, and then for lunch today I had the leftovers, and ever since then I've had nothing but heartburn. So I've been chewing these.
Yeah.
So don't mind me chewing my heartburn tablet. I'm getting old.
Excuse me as well. I've got a dog under the table. Giving her some love.
I got one here.
That's what I'm doing with my hands.
I had mine almost took my foot off. He was like, I can't move my chair in case if I move my chair I might bump him or take my leg off.
Oh, I know. I get surrounded by them sometimes in here, and they're like that.
There's nothing worse. You're sitting at the desk and you're patting your dog and you're doing this, patting the dog, and it looks like you're doing something inappropriate, but you're not. You're just like, calm down.
Stop it now, Zoe. Other people get internet for all the wrong reasons. Yeah.
We're kicked off YouTube from the. But
coming up, okay.
we've got a few other videos on the live channel, but we used to get up to all sorts of crazy stuff on the weekly wrap.
Yeah.
And Tom used to do clairvoyant.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Had a nice week.
Yeah.
And a pink shirt, and I did horoscopes.
Yeah.
And Tort did my best. Just sat on a toaster voice.
Yeah. Yeah.
We also had Auntie Doreen.
Yeah. No, we won't go into that one.
Really? Was that you, Paul?
Yeah. So,
I want to see those resurrected, please.
Auntie Doreen was a truck driver for Coles.
Yeah.
And she used to go around. And she was in love with the one of the Coles supervisors, Simon.
And she lost her marbles a lot.
Yeah, she was always having an accident. That was funny. Okay. But we used to get up to also. We had the music quiz. That's what Cam was asking about. If we're going to bring the music quiz back, but probably will. But yeah,
should we prepare questions for next time?
Yeah, we should. But I've got to. I'm not going to do it to the extremes we did it last time, because that was wasn't very cost effective. Because we used to be able to get on. Everyone used to get an app, like log in and log on to the app.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
And then the questions would come up on the screen.
Yep.
And everyone would have 30 seconds to answer their question and bits and pieces. But it just got too expensive, and the software wasn't developed in in England as an English one, so it's pretty hard trying to update the questions each week, and it's like,
okay.
So
there must be a simpler way.
Pardon?
There must be a simpler way. We could just do the quiz and have people answer on the comments.
Yeah,
like they do on the radio.
We just get some questions that like out of a box or something.
Well, we could do that.
Yep.
Yeah.
We'll have to do that, and then we can do a scoreboard like we do with a pair of old jocks. Yeah.
What have I walked into with you two? Tell me more.
Well, a pair of old jocks, right? I tell you, a pair of old jocks was a friend of mine that I used to DJ with way back in the 90s here in Rockingham, and he was just talking in general on social media, as you do, and I just said to him, mate, do you want to do a podcast? And it took a while, and we finally sat down and we finally got the podcast. The first episode was just him and I talking and doing the bits and pieces. And it grew from there to Brad. He joined us. Brad's over in Queensland. And he used to DJ a little bit back in the day, but now he's into security and bodyguards. And so it became a pair of old jocks and a bodyguard. And then what happened was WA Brewing Association, I contacted them, and one of the guys from there, Michael, he joined in on the podcast as well, and he was promoting WA beers and bits and pieces. So he's no longer on there because he's continuing his study into brewing, which I didn't even know was a thing. But yeah, he's studying brewing. So it went from 3 of us to 4, and it had Michael, Brad, and myself and Al. So it stayed as a pair of old jocks, but we just kept it there. But we're trying to come up with another name. Then we got Tom in on the act as well, and then Michael bailed, and so it's just the 4 of us. We get on.
Oh, no, I was brought in because Michael bailed, not before.
Oh, before. Oh, yeah. But
yeah.
But you were always in the background on chatting through us on the chat. So the boys said, "Oh, get Tom in." So now we just get in on a podcast once a week, and we just talk guys shit.
And play GeoGuessr.
Play GeoGuessr. It depends on, yes, every now and again we mix up the games and things, but play GeoGuessr and and we just, a couple of old dudes just sitting there. Well, apart from Tom, he's not really that old, but the rest of us, we just sit there and have a bit of fun.
Oh, well,
But
I'm with the age criteria, so that's okay.
yeah, and so now we've got this one. We're getting the music one back up and going again, which is good because hopefully we'll be able to get music. We'll be able to set up a link for guests, and where the gig guide you can see on the screen there where the gig guide is, we should be able to pull guests in and say, "Okay, come and join us on, have a chat, and join in the quiz and see how we go and have fun."
Oh, I think that's a grand idea. There'd be no end of people who would love to come on. Hopefully they have something interesting to say. I'm sure they would.
Yeah. Well, so I think that's probably for us. I'm still going to be doing reviews and that for now anyway, but I think a better way to promote bands is to speak to them before they have their big show and maybe a follow-up afterwards.
Yeah. The interview is a really... I love interviews. That's what got me into music journalism in the first place was, back in the very olden days, reading New Musical Express and Sounds magazine in particular.
Yeah.
And it was the interviews that drew me in because they were so, like music journalism at its best is like literary high art and really, really dumb shit all combined into one thing.
I'm the dumb shit bit.
No. But I just loved it because it would swing and go from one thing to another. And the thing I really loved as well is how they used to caption their photos because they were all really, really piss-takey captions. And I just loved it ever since. And then, like, all of the juice went out of it. And, like, most of the time you read an interview and it's like, okay, I spoke to whoever. Here's a question. Is their answer? There's no backstory. There's no commentary. And I just love when I do an interview, I just pick the eyes out of what people have said and I thread a story through it and try and make it interesting.
Oh, I've done that. I've had a few artists. And do exactly like what you said. Try and come up with nothing.
Well, you know what I do then? I make stuff up and then I send it to them and say, "Look, you didn't say anything interesting, so here's what I'm saying you said." And no one's ever said, "Oh no."
I can't because ours are on video. Mine are all on video.
Oh, well, you can't do that.
You're SOL.
3, 4, and 5 say, "Oh, come on."
Yeah.
And
but
I'm a bit, so.
I spoke to Jacinta Lee last week. I've got to edit her video and put it up. It'll go up later on this week. And she's a country singer from the Gold Coast.
Mm-hmm.
And, she could talk. And she knew exactly how to talk, what to say. And it was an absolute blast talking, having a chat with her. And you see there's a lot of artists out there, they just love talking about what they're doing. They love what they're doing and they talk. And then you get other people, they obviously love what they're doing as well, but they just they don't have that thing. But you've got an answer to that.
I do. Oh, yes, thank you, Paul. Oh. Yeah, look, I put together an online course. I haven't really said much about it lately because, I've been dipping into the world of actually marketing and online.
Yep.
I've been trying to figure out what's a good way of doing that, but that's coming soon. I put together an online course. Tom, you mentioned Amify. Peter Renzulo did the videos for me and edited them together and did a fantastic job. So there are 5 videos and a booklet with each. So the videos run to about 8 or 9 minutes. The booklets are about, 16 to 20 pages long. And they step you through what I've learned over, 10 years plus of interviewing artists, what it takes to be successful. And one of those things is how to handle the media. And part of handling the media, as well as, developing networks and relationships and, you've got to cultivate good relationships with the media. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, they'll ignore you, like I ignore most things from PR people. You've got to have a story. And, the one example that I keep coming back to because I'm old and because it fascinates me is Lou Reed. And, he's passed away now, but he was one of the greatest artists of all time. And if you go onto YouTube and look at videos of him being interviewed by the media, and there's a fabulous one where he's interviewed at Sydney Airport by the Australian media. And he was just perennially grumpy. That was his thing. I'm a grumpy old man, and that's the role I'm going to play all the time. It made for brilliant interviews. And there was I can't remember the name of the journalist, but he wrote about it afterwards, about his relationship with Lou Reed and how he was the grumpiest old man of all time, basically. But it was fascinating. You couldn't look away. That was his thing. And he gave it to you every time he spoke to the media. And what artists don't realize is that somehow they need to have something that represents the core of who they are as an artist. There needs to be a story about that that's quite consistent. You can't, really chop and change all the time. You would progress through your career, but you need to be a known quantity and you need to be interesting. And I don't know, I'm maybe I'm grumpy too, but I've always been drawn to the old, the people who are difficult. So John Lydon's another one who I always love. I mean, like, he says a lot of really awful things these days, but you can't take your eyes off him. There are female artists as well, people like Madonna, who have a really strong persona. And, you always know what you're going to get. It's always engaging, and you might not like it, but it fills column inches, it fills video, it gets clicks, it gets people engaged. And a lot of artists, when they're beginning, don't realize the power of the story that they need to be able to tell.
Yep.
And that has to reflect somehow something authentic about them.
Oh, so that's why I like Taylor. Well, that's why Taylor Swift gets on my, because she's got like the grumpy, instead of being the grumpy old man,
she's the grumpy old woman.
Well, the entitled little brat that I'm like, shut down. That's probably what it is. Now I know. Now now I know. I learn something every day.
You like her or not, you know who she is and you know what she's about, right?
Yep, and it really irks me because, like, it's like, but I do like her music. Like, I do like some of her songs, and because I like pop music, and so I do like some of her songs. And so, but I just, she knows how to get something out of me. She knows how to, like, if I see a Taylor Swift commercial or I see something on the internet with Taylor Swift, I've got to read it just to satisfy my, like,
That's success, because, even if you're not attracted to her in terms of I love Taylor, you're still reading, you're still watching.
And it's
and I thought about you the other day when I read the story about her actually buying her original songs back from Scooter Braun or whoever. No, it was a private equity company that had them off him. So, and I thought about you because that was one of our earliest conversations, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So, justice has maybe finally been done around that as well.
Yeah, which
he's got what he wanted. So, yeah.
Yeah. But the thing with Taylor Swift that really gets me, and I know I was hoping to keep this podcast to more Australian music, but Taylor Swift's come up now. Do you remember that? What's that Black? What's the girl's name? Not something Black. She's doing a tour around Australia with a whole heap of other artists as well. She had that song Friday.
Oh, Rebecca Black.
Oh, well done, Tom. Thank you. I had no clue.
Everyone, because her parents paid for the production, paid for that song to be released and everything, right? That's the story, how the story goes, right? And everyone gave her crap because Daddy's money paid for the song, right?
Yep.
But you never hear anyone say anything about Taylor Swift's dad paying $300,000 to buy the record label to give her her initial recording contract. Otherwise, no one was touching her. No one wanted to touch her. She couldn't get a recording contract. She had to actually. Her dad paid for it. But Rebecca Black, she gets creamed for it, even though the song Friday was a bit cringy. But it got people talking about her. People know who she was, and they don't know who she is now. But you have a look at her now; it's a lot different to back then. And a lot of artists, I think that at the moment are all too nice. I think they're all too scared to actually not toe the, not say anything bad. They'll just keep plodding on.
They're afraid to have a hook.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that hook.
It doesn't have to be horrible.
No. It needs to be an authentic part of the artist.
Yeah.
You've got to play that role for a long time. If you're going to be successful, you're going to be playing that role for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Just going back to, artists being supported by someone, I mean, I don't think there'd be a single artist who has made something out of their career that wasn't supported by someone in the early stages, whether it be a family member or a manager or someone.
Yeah.
And all power to the family members who back their offspring or their siblings or whoever. That's beautiful.
That's what gorgeous. Any parent would do that for their kids. Well, I'm assuming they would. I'd do it for my kids, but but there's haters. The haters out there.
Gaye's
Pardon?
Except Marvin Gaye's dad.
Okay.
Wasn't that song "Sexual Healing"? Was it the one?
Yeah, that's one of his songs.
Yeah.
But, I'll tell you after the stream. If you
I think I know. I think I know where it's headed. But that's a.
For example, where would Miley Cyrus be without Billy Ray Cyrus?
Just do Hannah Montana.
Oh, well, there is that.
Well, Billy Ray had a lot of good songs as well, but no one ever.
He did?
Just that one song. Yeah.
No, he had a couple. He did a remake of that song, Could Have Been Me, off the top of my head. Could Have Been Me. I don't know who originally done it, but he did that one. He also obviously had Achy Break Your Heart, which everyone knows. And he also had Mambo No. 5.
That's Lou Bega.
I know. I couldn't remember any more of his songs.
I'm like amazed that you named two more besides Achy Breaky Heart. To be honest,
I only named one because Mambo No. 5 is Lou Bega.
Oh,
yeah.
I had him down as having done a cover of it. Okay.
Nah, but yeah,
with my doesn't want to play at the moment. Anyway,
that's
okay.
all
right. So everyone needs a leg up when they're starting out. I think that's a really good thing.
Oh, but Billy Ray Cyrus also recorded a version in 2007 of Brown Eyed Girl. Of Van Morrison's version. Yep. So that was from Cameron. Cameron's still listening and tuning in. We must be doing something right. Still got a listener. Yeah. Cam, yeah. So if you didn't get it, Cam, next week we're gonna do a bit of a music quiz, but we're not going to be doing it like we did last time. We're just going to tone it down a bit, but we'll still have everything there, so you'll be able to answer in the quizzes and join in. So, yeah. So before we wind it up for the evening, Tom, is there anything you want to talk about the gig guide or anything? Plug any gigs or anything before we go? Because there it is on the screen, so I can zoom down and have a look at some of the gigs. Katy Perry, Make Them Suffer.
Katy Perry's currently doing her thing. She's doing her Perth leg next week. Of course, Thelma Plum is still touring. Mulgrab, who is a DJ, like electronic DJ. Make Them Suffer, which is a metal band from Perth.
I'll see if I just thought there was Australian gigs. Oh, excuse me. Oh.
Tone City, that's happening at the Indie Bar on the 28th.
Yep.
Oceanique, they're a sister duo from Perth.
There you go, there's Hidden Treasures.
That's happening at the Nook, as I said earlier at the top of the podcast.
Yep. So these are all that happen around town.
The Surf Shop Cops are about to embark on a regional tour this weekend.
Yep.
They're a indie punk band, and they're releasing a single called Weird Energy, and they're about to launch it at Freo on Saturday. Not the Reach Fight. That's another.
The Bird. That's a Bird.
The Bird in Northbridge.
Yep.
The 33 in Esperance and the 66 in Albany.
Yeah, so you've got the Bird in Perth and Mojo's in Fremantle.
Yep. But that's
the White Pony. Is that near the Pink Pony Club?
what the White Pony. Wow, that gig snuck up on me. I completely.
Anyway, so there's also Kingwood. So people, if anyone wants to add gigs, they can either send them through to us, or you can actually go to post an event, and you can post an event on the website. We get it, and then we'll do our bits and pieces and then publish it online. And if you have a website and you want to promote one of the bands that you like, or if you've got a favourite band, you can go to add a mini guide. This is Tom's favourite. When you add the mini guide, you can put in a keyword. Someone name a WA band, Tom?
Ragdoll.
Ragdoll. So type in Ragdoll there, show pagination. This is how easy it is. Get the embed code, and you can embed a mini gig guide on your site with whatever your keyword is. So there's gig guide for Ragdoll, or you can do all sorts of things. So the gig guide is pretty intense on some of the things it can do. It's bigger and better than most of the gig guides around as well. I think it's one of the better gig guides I've seen, and Tom's done a marvellous job.
Yeah,
all together. Yeah. And they all link back to, like, as we add them, because it's taking us it's going to take us time to add them all in. But you can go to Pop Rock Dizzy, and Pop Rock Dizzy is basically, like we said before, it's like a link tree for, there you go, Sonny Lou, Letter to the Future, the Grogans, Flynn Gurry.
Electric should be on there.
Yeah, so you can go to the artists. We're going through them. This is still a work in progress, so there's a lot of bits and pieces that we have to do. Like, say, there's Any Girl from WA. There's all the links there. You can have a listen to some of her music. This is all got to change. But there's a bit of a profile for it. She's got no gigs coming up. And it's, And there's link, so all the links are there, like we said. It's like Linktree, but you can actually listen to the music while you're going to search. And obviously it has links to the gig guide if she's got any gigs there, but in this case she doesn't. So that's the gig guide and Dizzy. So if you've got any events, just chuck them our way. Tom loves it. He loves it. He needs to keep busy.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, he's doing heaps. Like, I reckon, Tom, like, he's built the gig guide up. I've got to give credit where credit's due. He goes out, he gets all the bands, gets all the information, puts them up, and he's doing a heap every day. And he's getting no love for it. So we've got to get Tom some love.
We do, because people who do what you do, Tom, and also what you do, Paul, are vastly underappreciated. And it's not a deliberate thing. It's just the way of the world.
Yeah.
Everyone's hustling to try and, get their stuff out there. And people who aggregate like you, they're not seen as much as I think they could be. And they're not celebrated. Like, there's no, you talk about the WAM Awards. If we're talking about a music ecosystem, there's no award for, the person who put the most effort into and did the greatest job, putting together a local gig guide or a local band guide.
Yeah.
And there probably should be, because it's creative work, part of the lifeblood of the industry, and it helps artists to get to where they're going. And the more this is known about, the more artists will use it, the more punters will see it, and the better it will be for artists. So, a bit of shameless self-promotion doesn't go astray when you're doing stuff like this. I think it's really underrated. And, people like you, Tom, and Paul, I think, really stick this industry together in a way that's not
you're doing the same with Around the Sound as well. So it's
I do, but it's a very personal crusade Around the Sound. Like I say, I only write about stuff I want to write about. I will be promoting the course shortly once I've figured out, what sort of approach I want to take to the promotion. And I think it's really valuable, and I'm giving it away for basically nothing.
Yeah, I know.
Because I want artists to get value out of it. I want artists to be able to get away from this get-rich-quick deluge of crap that they get in their feeds every day.
Yeah.
Promising them hundreds of thousands of Spotify streams and, thousands of followers and this, that, and the other. And it's all just rubbish. It's all seducing people into giving away their money to other people. So I just want to try and do a different side of things. But yeah, look, around the sound, I think has value, but it's fairly minimal these days because it's very much a labour of love and a very obstinate labour of love on my part. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, if anyone else got anything to say before we wind it up, say good night to everyone. Go on.
Good night, Cam.
Good night, Cam. We'll see you next week, Cam. We'll have some. Did you know Eurovision, the Eurovision Song Contest YouTube channel, 24/7 live?
Oh, how many listeners, followers do they have?
Don't know. I'll have to look it up. But
10 gazillion, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's something to aspire to. Let's be as famous as they are.
Already there. So, well, thanks for joining me, Tom and Andrea. I keep saying Andrea because that's the way I'm not posh or anything, but that's the way I can't say like Andrea or Andrea. It's like Lance. I say Lance, not Lance.
Well, look, I will forgive you. It's okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
You can be one of them who call me Andrea and make me feel very posh. So
look, before we go,
gets away with it. Yeah.
Before we get, do you know how like people when they drink tea they have their little finger sticking out?
Yeah.
Yep. I used to work for a company repairing generators and bits and pieces. Now I used to look after some pretty big generators, and they used to come in sea containers and things. I've got to be careful that I don't mention the company because I don't get them into trouble. But I was load testing a generator, and now this generator was a big generator. It's capable of putting out like 1,500 amps. Like the cable sizes coming out of these things were huge, and part of the test you got to wind the speeds and everything down. And what happened was I wound it down, it got wound down and it got stuck. And there's a little dial you got to turn. You just got to bump it because it sticks. So you just bump it to unstick it. And I've done that. I've gone in there and I've done it with my hand like that. My little pinky finger stuck out. And this generator had the buzz bars coming out from it where you hook up the cables this far away from the dial. And without realising it, I've hit it with my finger and got a bit of a wake-up call. And I was just lucky that it was stuck wound down and not pumping out.
Not on.
I would have, So my little finger, now I'm always conscious that I'm not posh and to keep my little finger down. And so,
all right.
Yeah. So,
did you use a fingernail or anything like that, or did it just give you a little bit of?
Just gave me a wake up. Gave me a bit of a wake up call. So I was lucky.
Wow. I'm glad you're still.
Yeah, so am I. My hair's got a little bit curly, but apart from that, it's like. So I just went back into me, like, finished what I was doing, went back to my little workbench and continued on working for the rest of the day quietly. But
okay.
Yeah. Anyway, that's probably what my problem is now. I've fried a few brain cells. But anyway, it's been great catching up with you guys tonight, Monday.
Thank you for having me on. This has been fun and beautiful to meet you, Tom. And I'm going to shut up next time and let you talk more because I'm really, really interested in the things you have to say. You've got some good knowledge there, so I want to hear
it. He's like a savant when it comes to the music and remembering stuff. So
I bet. So I want to do that.
As long as I've had my 8 hours, like every other human being, but some of the time I am alien.
Yeah. Nah, it's always.
He gets 8 hours.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Alrighty. Well, let's sign off.
Same back channel next Monday.
Yep, we'll see you 6:30 next Monday.
Right. Excellent. I'll be there, I promise.
Yep. Well, if we hang, I'm going to hit stop. I'm going to hit stop on the thing. If we hang around, we can just have a quick chat before we all go. But see you all next week.